All right, we're live. This might be the most videos we've ever recorded.
I feel like I'm in Groundhog Day. Only the events change a little bit. Maybe I was more in Groundhog Day when it was just coronavirus. But even this is starting to feel a little repetitive.
I'm trying every day to find coronavirus news. That's what we were doing this whole show for. And every newscast is the exact same. It's like, with today's protest going on and social distancing put on the wayside, is America in for another wave? And they're literally using the same clips, and they speak in such stupid ways, and it's very frustrating trying to find actually interesting clips,
Do you think that we've already hit some pretty big numbers, right? We're at over 100,000 deaths. But we are much lower than where people were forecasting like 2 or 3 months ago, right? We were hearing 1 or 2 million Americans could die.
Okay.
If these protests continue, do you feel like Trump will kind of have a way out to be like, we were taking control of it, and then anarchy set in? Because there does feel like there's this narrative of we peaked and we're coming down, but now we're in no man's land with all of the virus, with all the protests going on.
Oh, you're saying the virus comes back, but he blames it on the protesters and not on the fact that we opened up too soon or something like that.
Right. Because, the narrative is clearly changing. I had somebody send me a message that was like, do you think that CNN wants Trump to be president again? Because CNN has been raking in so much money during Trump's presidency that for everything to go back to normal and people to give up on politics because it's just boring would be horrible for the media.
Yeah, can you imagine? If Biden becomes president, maybe every now and again there'll be something a little funny, say something crazy. But we are so accustomed now every day to Trump doing and saying the most insane stuff that when Biden says crazy stuff, we're just going to be like, it's not as good as it once was. And so I can totally see that. I'm gonna lose interest in politics again. When there's not a pandemic, there's not rioting and looting.
Maybe that's when we're in the most trouble, is when we're not paying attention.
From what?
What do you mean from what?
We're in the most trouble.
From our government. I think a lot of people think that Trump losing the presidency and Biden winning will somehow be this 180-degree turn. I'm not so convinced of that anymore. I think our leaders for the last 5 presidents, I feel like have probably been more on the same page. We are warmongering Americans that are angry people that have identity politics and all of this crazy stuff that's been happening since, maybe since Clinton, maybe since Bush, first or second Bush. I don't know. It just feels like, are we really going to change that much? Some of the craziness that we see every day and our president acting in a respectable manner, that will be gone. And I think we'll all take a sigh of relief and say, at least our president doesn't sound crazy anymore. But in terms of the actual agendas, we're going to war with China greater than we ever have, right? There's no way Biden can just win the presidency and then be like, all that craziness that happened the last 3 years, the trade war and us blaming you on the virus, we've changed our ways. I don't see how anything, I feel like the chess pieces are in place. And they've been in place for several presidents before Trump. Maybe they've escalated a little bit, but I don't think Biden becoming president is just going to suddenly change the direction of America. We might feel like it does because people like you and I might stop watching the news.
I don't care to watch any Biden press conferences. Every time that guy speaks, he's not nearly as bad as who's the vice president? Pence?
Mike Pence?
Dude, when that guy talks, it's words and it's eloquent and it's meaningless. Nothing that comes out of that dude's mouth. I could give a speech right now. The American people have one heart that grows in power together, and the spirit of us all can fly through the winds of peace, and we must join hands in this difficult time of unity.
That's pretty good.
And we're like, Thank you. Thank you, Mike Pence. Now let Cheeto Man get up and speak. All right, should we go ahead and get to
You're
these?
going to love my first clip then, if you haven't already watched it. How many of these have you watched?
Not that many. I'm trying to even like, dude, we have so many freaking clips today. This is ridiculous. Like, look at this, everybody. Like, what the heck?
It's so easy to find clips when it's a new news story and there's so much insanity coming out.
Okay.
Why don't you start with number one there?
Okay, let's do this.
Keep it coronavirus related.
Massive crowds swarming cities across the country are choosing social justice over social distancing.
I could be dead tomorrow if I walk on the streets and...
Real quick. What is going on? Why is camera 2, camera 1, camera 3, did something, like, what happened to the Apple TV on here?
Apple TV's there.
Which one's Apple TV? Camera 1's our camera. Camera 2, everybody drink right now. Camera 2
Camera 3 is Apple TV. It's connected.
Oh, you're doing it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
because it's making noise. I'm watching it make noise. Like, it's turned off, but that was freaking me out.
Okay.
But an urgent health warning from officials.
There's no question there's a danger this could intensify the spread of the coronavirus just at a point when we were starting to beat it back profoundly.
How many super spreaders were in that crowd? How many young people went home and kissed their mother hello or shook hands with their father?
But these demonstrators see an America infected with injustice, too.
Are you worried about your safety? Yes, but the answer is that I'm worried about my safety to both of those viruses.
Late today, the first comprehensive study on stopping the virus found physical distancing, 3 feet or more, is most important, even more than wearing a mask. And with tear gas flying, the risks even greater.
Tear gas makes people cough, sneeze, their eyes water, and when that happens, the respiratory droplets that carry the virus can travel further, meaning they can infect a lot more people.
Public health and prosperity now jeopardized. This restaurant owner's reopening was put on hold.
I worked for 2 months every day to reposition ourselves for this to happen. It's disturbing.
In South Florida, businesses were expecting to see Miami Beach reopen today. That's now been postponed because of the protests, as officials everywhere wait to see if cases of the virus surge in the next 2 weeks.
This is the stupid news. Like, every single news channel has 10 videos that are exactly like that.
So can I start a new conspiracy theory?
Oh boy. Sure.
What if, and I said this a few days ago, like tear gas, I mean, you have the mask on, right? But the second you get hit with the tear gas, you have to take the mask off, you're coughing, you're wiping your eyes, people are coming over to help you. Like there's a PDF going around on like how to protest with goggles, and if you get sprayed, how to throw milk on your eyes, and like you need this part this and this part that. I'm seeing it all over the place, right? What if the police are aligned with Trump and the narrative is let's tear gas all of these people that will be the most outspoken protesters against Trump, and they will get the coronavirus in the next month while all this happens. And come election time, we will have weeded out the majority.
It's all young people. They're all going to be fine. Like my boy Cuomo was saying, it's them going home and then kissing their mom. That's going to be the problem.
People vote the way their parents vote. So they're going and, taking, if you say all these people are anti-Trumpers, they're getting sick, they're taking it back to their homes, and then in, a month or two, maybe they're going to be affected the most. A few weeks ago, we were saying this about Trump supporters. All the Trump supporters are going out and protesting, let us out of our homes, let us get back to work. They're all going to die too, Maybe it all comes out even, but I'm just thinking.
We all die evenly in the end. Leo says, Patrick is right. Black Lives Matter started under Obama. Blaming it all on Trump is oversimplifying the issue. There's been tension for a long time. Lee 2024 campaign fund. Maybe I should run. I can give speeches that are absolutely meaningless, and I can just talk and talk and talk. The ingenuity of the American mind.
Let's not go down this road.
And the power of
Somebody made a comment that, like, did we talk to each other before this podcast? Because we are dressed almost identically. We both have like a gray shirt with the button,
yeah,
and we got the wind
weird.
pants, and
that's true.
I put socks on for this. At least I have that.
That's weird. All right, next video. We gotta burn through these videos.
Just say something about what the president has just shown us. The president of law and order, as he now calls himself, which is how he pronounced himself, and then he claimed a power he doesn't really have. He can't send the military into every state. That's not law and order. What the president doesn't seem to know or care is that the vast majority of those protesting, they too are calling for law and order. A black man killed with 4 officers holding him down, a knee to the neck, for more than 8 minutes, nearly 3 minutes of which he was no longer conscious for. That's not law and order. That's murder. Stopping and frisking a young black man simply because he's a young black man, that's not law and order. The killing of George Floyd, Eric Garner, the torture of Abner Louima, that's not law and order. The president seems to think that dominating black people, dominating peaceful protesters is law and order. It's not. He calls them thugs. Who is the thug here? Hiding in a bunker? Hiding behind a suit? Who is the thug? People have waited for days for this wannabe wartime president to say something. And this is what he says, and that is what he does. I've seen societies fall apart as a reporter. I've seen people dying in the streets while protesting. I've seen countries ripped apart by hate and misinformation and lies and political...
Feel like we need to continue this?
He makes a pretty good point. I mean,
you love taking these long videos.
And racism. We can't let that happen here. Of course, violence is no answer, but people protesting deserve answers, and they haven't gotten them, no matter how many black men have been murdered, lynched, imprisoned, mistreated, redlined, blackballed from jobs. We all know it. People protesting in the streets, they know it, and they're tired of it. And we should be too. There's a curfew in New York tonight at 11 p.m. And we remember another curfew, August 1943. That was the last time there was a curfew like this in the city. And you know what that curfew was caused by? 1943, a white police officer shooting a black soldier. The years change, the decades go by, and the sad truth remains.
I mean, I'm usually a pretty big fan of Anderson Cooper, and you know, I've obviously said I'm not a very big fan of Trump. I don't think Trump. He's obviously not doing a good job of like calming everyone down, but Trump has come out a few times and he has said that he is for peaceful protests and he is very much against violence and the looting. I also am against violence and looting and beating up innocent people and destroying public property and stuff. So I think it's possible to have both. And yesterday, people were upset because we didn't show Trump's speech. Somebody even said we didn't show Trump's speech yesterday on purpose to slight the president. And we were like, no, we literally talked about it. We didn't have time to watch it before we went live.
I did choose eating dinner instead of... I gave up working out. I haven't worked out in 2 days. Yeah. But I still didn't get time to get to Trump's speech.
Well,
so I guess
got a clip right now.
I should work harder.
Yeah, you should work harder for free. But I got a clip of Trump's speech.
All Americans were rightly sickened and revolted by the brutal death of George Floyd. My administration is fully committed that for George and his family, justice will be served. He will not have died in vain. But we cannot allow the righteous cries and peaceful protesters to be drowned out by an angry mob. The biggest victims of the rioting are peace-loving citizens in our poorest communities. And as their president, I will fight to keep them safe. I will fight to protect you. I am your president of law and order and an ally of all peaceful protesters. But in recent days, our nation has been gripped by professional anarchists, violent mobs, arsonists, looters, criminals, rioters, Antifa, and others. A number of state and local governments have failed to take necessary action to safeguard their residents. Innocent people have been savagely beaten, like the young man in Dallas, Texas, who was left dying on the street, or the woman in upstate New York, viciously attacked by dangerous thugs. Small business owners have seen their dreams utterly destroyed. New York's finest have been hit in the face with bricks. Brave nurses who have battled the virus are afraid to leave their homes. A police precinct has been overrun here in the nation's capital. The Lincoln Memorial and the World War II Memorial have been vandalized. One of our most historic churches was set ablaze. A federal officer in California, an African-American enforcement hero, was shot and killed. These are not acts of peaceful protest. These are acts of domestic terror.
Did you see the video clip of that officer that got killed?
I didn't know an officer got killed. Like, I've been wanting to keep up with who has been dying from this. And it's so hard with all the crazy videos, but...
So this guy, and I assume we're talking about the same officer. Maybe it's another one. But I saw this clip on Twitter before we went live of this guy. He was, I believe, 77 years old. He was a retired police officer. He was trying to stop looters from going into a pawn shop. And I think he got shot in the back. And there's a video that this guy took of him on the ground dying, blood just pouring out of him. It's like a 5-minute long video of him just dying on the ground over some used televisions. And it's just insane to me that some people, even in the comments here, like yesterday when I'm, talking about how we cannot have people destroying public property and that will lead to death. People are like, "Oh, you don't understand, Lee." And I'm like, more people are gonna die like that. What's the point? If you have demands that you want to see change and whatever, I don't understand how getting innocent people killed is doing that. You're making the situation much worse. And I feel like change is happening. And maybe you could say it's because of these deaths. Maybe you could say it's because of these riots and all the insane videos that we're seeing and that we're going to be showing and stuff, that we're all thinking about it, we're all talking about it. I'm seeing clips of cops doing horrific things, and then I'm hearing about them getting fired the very next day. Did you hear about the police chief? There was like cops shot some guy and then they couldn't get access to the body cam footage. This was yesterday, I believe. Police chief fired because he couldn't get the body cam footage.
Really?
Yeah, so
that's encouraging news. I'm much more cynical, and I don't feel like any of this is going to get better. I feel like this is like a cancer in American history that we can't get over. I know that's super doom and gloom. I look at the LA riots and I say, do people in LA a year ago feel like the LAPD is less corrupt than it was 25 years ago, or however many years in the 90s? I'm like, we're just repeating the same thing. And to that point, a lot of people are saying Anderson Cooper is the problem. The last time there was martial law or there was a curfew in New York was over the shooting of another person, in the 40s. And I'm like, this happens over and over and over again. I don't know the answer to this. I was talking to Kristen about it, and she was like, we just need to have police fired when these things happen, and we need to have psychological training, and it needs to be harder to be a police officer. And maybe in my opinion, she might go a little too far. She might say, if there's any complaints, they need to be let go. Maybe that's what we need to do. I don't know where the line is.
That would be you'd never be able to keep a
But
single
you were
person
saying
hired.
the cams should be on at all times. They should go to the cloud. They should always be accessible. Okay.
Sure.
It just feels like we have to do so much everywhere. And maybe that makes sense in big cities that have the budgets for that. But when you start thinking, I have some clips in here of some good cops. You start thinking of these little towns, Imagine the police here in Umakau, If you have to now say you have to do all of this psychological training and have all these therapists, and you have PSTD, you have to have counseling for that, and you have to have background checks, and to become a cop, you have to do 2 years before, if you just make it incredibly difficult to do that job, it's going to be really hard on the smaller communities that aren't able to vet that many people and don't have that many people stepping up wanting to be cops. Maybe in New York you could do that. Maybe in New York it'll be harder because you need so many police that you have timetables and I don't know. I just feel like, what are we going to do to solve this problem? And we'll get into this too. There's also a lot of black cops that are doing this stuff too. So it's not just a racial thing.
No.
It's a cop thing too.
Sure.
So I don't know what the answer to any of this is, but I don't see this ending anytime soon. Maybe the riots will. I don't think so with the election. But I think in 10 or 20 years, you're going to watch back these videos and be like, here we are again. Remember the riots in 2020?
Yeah, but I mean, I think things are still getting so much better. I mean, I think when you look at the murder numbers and stuff, I think we've been going down for the last few decades. I think we're moving in the right direction. The racism stuff is so ridiculous. I feel like people are just growing up in a different time where they're not even hearing about racism, and, until they're a certain age. People are getting married to different races and having kids, and you can't even tell what race they are anymore. It's like racism is going to be so freaking confusing soon.
I think there's some truth to what you're saying, but there's societies around the world that have gone through this, and there's still racism,
Oh yeah, there's gonna be race. Like my favorite type of racism is the racism where it's like you don't
can't
even
run for president anymore.
yeah. Damn it, I lost my election there. But my favorite type of racism is where you can't tell if you hate the person or not. Like I remember watching this documentary on these white supremacist guys, and I can't remember the guy. He's like this British interviewer, and he's like this skinny, funny guy. Do you know who I'm talking about? He does all these documentaries. But anyway, they were like, wait a minute, are you a Jew? And he's like, I'm not going to answer that question. I'm just here to interview you. And they're like, we don't allow Jews in the house. And he's like, well, I'm here, so can I continue working on this? And they're like, you need to tell us if you're a Jew. And he's like, I'm not going to tell you anything about myself. I'm just doing the, and it was so funny to see their attitude go from like they welcomed him in because they wanted to show what they were all about and everything, to like, wait a minute, are we supposed to hate you or not? It just makes absolutely no sense. It's so stupid. Photog Mike says, real quick, Jacob says, stop only using CNN, please use news sources. That's ridiculous. We just literally played a clip from Fox News, and I have more. Photog Mike says, I agree with Lee on this one. We will always have different sources, but the same output. No one wants to see anyone die innocently, and if we can forget the source but not the message, we are better off as a society.
What is he talking about there? We have different sources but the same output. Different sources of what? What is the context of this?
Photog Mike is really bad about making points in his super chats.
Yeah, well, he's not alone. Some also have trouble just making a concise sentence.
We love you, Photog Mike. All right, can we get to another video?
Have you seen in Philadelphia last night? This is what I fear is going to be the next new norm. We now have kind of the white gangs, the militias, the people. No, I'm not trying to portray this in a bad way, but like you have the people now that are going to protest the protesters. I'm going to stand my ground. I'm going to take care of my business. And, for many Americans, this is super horrifying as well,
Yeah.
The next clip that I have plays on this a little bit more. This is Fishtown, Pennsylvania, which I believe is a suburb of Philadelphia, or part of Philadelphia.
Don't put our cops at risk.
Yeah, we're all the same group. Yeah, these are Fishtown people too.
What was going on there?
It's just showing the two different groups walking on different sides. But what I think is interesting about this is it kind of goes back to the idea of other countries trying to influence Americans to feel like we're not unified anymore and pit, brother against brother. I feel like they're saying in that clip, we're both Fishtown people. We're both residents of the same place, and for decades we've all gotten along, right? The problem is we know there are paid actors. In some ways, there are police officers vandalizing stuff. There are people from other states coming in. There are people that are white guys that are causing all these problems. We saw Charleston. I saw a Periscope of a black guy. I don't know where he's from, but like all of these people coming in and just, they're not from the town where all this happens. So it's easy to say like, we're both from the same place and we've gotten along and we should be able to keep our community under control. But the second that you start throwing a little chaos in this already unstable environment, you could easily have these two groups of people who might be fine on their own, they might be fine together. But the second that you have some instigation happening, suddenly now we're at odds, you know? It's like we are fighting ourselves, which is kind of the ultimate sort of chaos if this was planned from the outside in some way, you know?
Damn it, George Soros.
You and the George Soros. So today was also a monument day because we had a hashtag blackout. And you can see this is our Puerto Rican account, so not all the girls did the blackout, but it's pretty crazy to go through the whole feed and see so many black posts.
But there's still the Instagram girls posing in front of mirrors.
Well, they might post 3 times a day, and their blackout was earlier in the morning.
Of course.
But I think yesterday I said, you know, one of the problems in American culture, probably world culture at this point, is Instagram itself. I think Instagram, like, we all use it as photographers. Instagram's a huge platform, but it creates a very narcissistic sense of self. You know, look at me, I have to produce, I have to put my best life forward. I live a life in the public that's not really reality, you know. This next little video clip, I think, is the epitome of this concept.
Oh yeah, I saw this.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really. Oh, boyfriends of Instagram.
So she is helping the community rebuild. And got her.
I mean,
what is that called? Where the boyfriend is he's like the Instagram BF or
something like that. I mean,
the boyfriends of Instagram.
Who are you, Patrick, to talk down on this girl who is helping to protect her community from these vile looters? This girl was saving the day.
I mean, you do kind of have a point. If she puts that picture out to all her followers and they all believe that she was out cleaning up, then maybe it's like a celebrity who goes out and does some, you know, it's like somebody who does one, like drives a nail in.
It's like when Trump was throwing the paper towels to the Puerto Ricans after the storm.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone needed more people throwing paper towels out to audiences. I don't know if it works that way, but I think of the clips of Jimmy Carter. Like, what a president. You always see Jimmy Carter, he's like 90-something, right? He's so close to being at the end of his life. And he's out there like having a heart attack and then weeks later still building homes for humanity, you know, Habitat for Humanity. And I'm like, what an encouraging guy. Like, I just appreciate that, you know. You have some presidents, like I think George Bush made a statement today. And Obama made a statement a couple days ago.
Yeah, I heard
But you
Obama's.
don't see them a lot. Like, Obama's kind of been gone out of the media.
I know, I wonder what their lives are like
Bush
now.
has been out of the media. And maybe when you're president for 2 terms, you're just like, look, I'm done. I've done enough. I get it.
Yeah.
But, you know, I like seeing presidents and celebrities actually going out and doing it.
Like that girl.
Just
like that hero.
girl.
Photog Mike clarifies and says he means that Fox News and CNN have the same output. Even that's not very clear. Maybe he's talking about the fact, like the first thing we talked about in the video.
I don't know.
About how
their output's kind of different, and it fights. It's like the balance, you know. They have slightly different narratives.
So you're saying Photog Mike is wrong. Maximilian says, look at the video where 7 news reporters get beaten up and shot.
Shot with rubber bullets by U.S. police in D.C. I do have a D.C. video coming up.
Well, let's see what's next.
So this video, I have 2 videos here. This video is showing a really, you know, a big poverty, a city that's highly in poverty, also being destroyed. And, you know, you can just play this video. There's really not a lot of audio here. This is in the Bronx, which is just north of Manhattan. You get the idea. You can close out of this. The next video is it's one of the it's a 2-minute video, and it's got a lot of rough language, but I think she makes a good point.
These are fucking people who live in public housing, and you just made a fucking melee. You took down bus routes. There are people who live in this neighborhood who have to go back uptown to work, and you are here profiting off of our fucking pain. So you fucking protest every single last one of you. You think about what it's like to be a black woman in this fucking neighborhood who lives with people in public housing, who now has fucking shit to walk through, who bag your groceries, who drop off your food, who defends you, who go uptown to a fucking hospital to serve this community. So as you're out here, be fucking responsible. Have a fucking plan. You can protest all you want, but the shit I just saw take place. I know there are people out here, homeless people, who fucking rely on those banks to charge their fucking phones. And you think it's okay to take down a neighborhood? You don't see corporations here. There are human beings that live in this goddamn neighborhood. You do this shit in Harlem, you do this shit in Brooklyn, and I swear on everything. These people in this neighborhood deserve better. And I'm not talking about the gentrification. I'm not talking about the fucking students who come here and pay cash to go to NYU. I am talking about the people who go to a methadone clinic down the goddamn street. And you fucking think this is a protest? I gave my fucking blood, sweat, and tears for this country. I served this country for 10 goddamn years. So when you think about this anger and this fucking rage, because there's a way to get answers. Every single last...
Kind of ends abruptly, but the point is just like, what are these protesters doing? I mean, I looked up this neighborhood, Fordham. The average income in that neighborhood is $30,000 in New York City. It's in the city.
Yeah.
And you're just thinking, like, why? It makes you wonder, like, are the police doing this? Are outside people coming in and just protesting everywhere? Are the poor people in that neighborhood the ones actually burning and destroying their city? I don't know. It's just a little strange to think that, like, the communities that are hit the hardest are places like that. I mean, there's so many clips of jewelry stores, you know, just the local guy who, it's been his parents' business and like he's just fortunate to have a business. Jewelry store broken, everything stolen. Who knows if he's insured or not. You know, she's talking about, you've seen all the banks robbed and just all the ATMs and money, just thousands and thousands of dollars. Those companies will survive because they're big corporations, but maybe now they don't want to be in that neighborhood anymore, you know, or maybe they're not going to service those people.
Yeah. Preaching to the choir, Patrick.
Oh, shit. Did you watch this video? Maybe. This is in Georgia.
All right, nah, hell no, I'm getting out of here.
They break into a jewelry store owned by an Asian guy. See them all running here in a minute towards the store.
Yo, somebody started shooting.
Oh, wow. So that video...
Not the best video.
No, but that video was the store owner.
Okay.
What is the name of the Slim the jeweler?
Okay.
He is an in-law of a photographer friend of ours that people would know. And he's like...
Oh, that was him.
That's my, like... brother-in-law or
okay.
I don't know the relation, but related in Georgia. And he's like, this is crazy. And it goes back to the other narrative that I was saying earlier with the Fishtown guys, is like, we have buddies in Charleston who are, they got the guns and they're going to the establishments and they're saying, you're not doing it here. You're going to start having homeowners. Luckily it doesn't seem like people go into homes as much, but.
As much, sure, but I've got some craany videos.
I bought the gun stocks yesterday. Gun stocks are going out the roof, doing well there. It's kind of a weird bet to make, but I'm going to do it. People are buying guns. People are going to start saying, like, I'm going to stand my ground. You're not breaking into my house. And as an American who views the Second Amendment as it's a very controversial amendment, but, like, this is the time that it does make sense that if I was in the United States, I'm on U.S. soil right now, but if I was in Charleston, I would probably think twice about having a gun in my house while I'm there and there's protests like this going on.
Absolutely. I've never really considered buying a gun, but if I saw people getting beat up and being robbed and stuff just a few miles from my house, I would definitely buy a gun.
Here's a question that I asked. I think I asked you this, and I asked some buddies online. I actually talked to Pi Jerza about this too on the phone earlier. He actually hung up because he was like, I got to deal with it. There are so many stores and restaurants and stuff that are going out of business from COVID. And then suddenly this rolls into your neighborhood, into your streets. And I've been watching a lot of Charleston videos. Places get destroyed. And we're seeing like, a place called Home, which is a burger joint. They're calling it quits. They're done. They've been there for like 10 years or so. They can't make it anymore. I don't think they were looted. But could business owners be like, you know what? All of this is going on. We know it's getting violent tonight. I'm in prime real estate in a city like, I think St. Louis tonight's supposed to be pretty bad. I'm not going to make it. Could you just put bricks and stuff outside your door? Could you leave your doors open and then they're going to break the windows and loot the crap out of everything? And then right before you call it quits, you're just like, I'm going to make that final insurance claim. Get a bunch of insurance money. I'm watching videos in Charleston where they're just raiding these stores, going through, everything's destroyed, right?
Yeah.
Get the money and be like, you know what, I got a good little settlement for my insurance. I'm closing down shop. I'm going to probably never open up again. Or maybe I just wait 6 months to a year, let the COVID thing settle down. But at least I'm going out with some money. I
just wonder how many of these businesses have looters insurance.
Well, that's what my investing friends were saying, was that rioting and what did they call it? Civil unrest is often not included in people's insurance. So I was talking to Pi about this, and he's like, yeah, the riots are getting closer to their huge building. And I was like, yeah, at what point do you hire armed guards? I'm being serious. You hire somebody to be there to deter them.
Yeah.
Because, it's very easy to know who he is and say, man, there's a photo studio with a lot of equipment here.
Yeah.
And I was like, I told him that story, and I was like, do you think your insurance covers riots and civil unrest? And he's like, I don't know. So he got off the phone and instantly made some calls. He found out that his insurance does cover that. But I was like, if it doesn't, now is the time to maybe take a lot of that expensive gear into your personal home or to put it in a safe somewhere. I don't know what you can do. Or hire people to start protecting your property. But it's kind of a scary thought out there. You get looted. You could, if you had all of that stolen, it'd be like a very easy decision. If my insurance is not going to cover that, I'm done. I'm out of business. I'm not going to replace $50,000 to $100,000 to $300,000 worth of gear.
Yeah. And
renovate my building. I'm done. I'm out.
Especially when people aren't really in the mood to go to restaurants anyway, if you're still talking about restaurants. Studio Rivi says, Photog Mike is right. Same company owns both CNN and Fox News. I don't think that's true, but I'd be happy to be proven wrong. Let's get to the next clip.
Walk us through what happened on Saturday night.
We were kind of in a traffic jam. It was very hard to move, very hard to...
Dude, is this Prince's son? This looks just like Prince to me.
Prince?
Yeah, he's got the scarf going on here.
Yeah, he does have a scarf. I don't know what that's all about.
So this is the couple that was tasered and
that was tasered.
Get down the street, it was bumper to bumper. And I see a friend of mine on the sidewalk. So of course, naturally, I just say, hey, what's up? You know, I'm talking to him, making sure he's okay. This probably lasted about 10 seconds, and all of a sudden he just tackled, like, just straight separated from the car. He was literally an inch away from where I was, like from the passenger seat, or from the driver's seat, I'm sorry. And he was just taken aback. They literally just threw him to the ground and tackled him. Soon there was just...
Who do you think the shoulders are on the left and right of this frame?
They're attorneys. They'll talk to them in a minute.
That's what I assumed.
So many cops swarming the car, literally just out of nowhere. And from then, it was just utter chaos. Like, it's literally just...
And Tanaya, I know this has all happened so fast and it's so hard to process, but you actually felt right in that moment that you might die in that car.
Yeah, I actually thought both me and Messiah were gonna die. Like, the way everything happened so fast, there was no telling what could happen in the next moment, because from 10 seconds before to the time it was going on, who could have predicted any of this?
Do you have any sense of why the officers were so aggressive so quickly?
Basically, just because when they tackled him, we were there, basically. Like,
yeah,
we saw what happened. Like, we were there. We saw everything. We were so in shock. So who knew what was going to happen next? We had no clue.
The officers, 2 of the officers, as you know, has been fired, and 3 others have been put on desk duty. Mr. Davis, what more do you expect, what more do you want to have happen now in the department and with those officers?
We would like for the officers to be criminally prosecuted. Additionally, there were other officers. What was captured on film was not the end of the torment that these 2 young people experienced. And so there are other officers that we want the city to hold accountable, and we want them fired and prosecuted as well. And so that has to happen for there to be any sense of justice for these young people and their families.
And Mr. Stewart, will you be taking civil action as well?
Definitely. Right now, we're already starting to work on all of the proper documents and getting the lawsuit ready, but this is going to be bigger than a lawsuit. There have to be fundamental changes with policing. I mean, just look across the country.
And Messiah, what's your message now, having gone through this, to everyone watching at home about what happened, about the police, about what kind of changes you want to see now in the country?
At this point, this just needs to cease. All of the brutality in every department throughout the country, it just needs to end.
Well, we are sorry for what happened to you. Thank you for sharing your stories with us this morning.
Well, just as I said yesterday, footage comes out. Police cams comes out, immediately fired. They're going to sue the city. They're going to sue the police department. They're going to be rich. Because the city's going to lose tons of money, they're going to have to make major changes, probably big ones, more cams. So I feel like we're moving in the right direction.
We're moving in the right direction, but only under the scenario of, or the backdrop of, all of these riots going on. If all of this was not going on, all of those things you said probably wouldn't happen. There wouldn't be enough outrage because nobody would have saw all of that footage. Nobody would have saw the stunning and the tasering and the beating and all that stuff.
What's your point? That the
I'm just saying, like, it comes and goes. Like, right now we have this backdrop that allows all this justice to happen, but the second that it all gets washed away and, like, we get preoccupied with something else, who knows what that is.
Like if this just happened on any normal Tuesday.
Yeah, I think that's the argument, you know?
I mean, hopefully not. Hopefully if the public can have access to the body cams, then we would be maybe we would be more outraged seeing that. At least that happened under, a very tense situation. Maybe they were breaking curfew. Maybe the cops had already, their lives were in danger, so everybody's all heightened.
With these guys?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I had the beginning of the story. They saw a buddy. Can't remember if he said that.
He did see that. He did say that.
So they captured, I guess, he had his phone out. I think he filmed them beating his buddy or tackling his buddy. The cops realize you're filming.
Okay.
Now we're going to go for you.
I see.
That's when he opens the door. He takes off, and now we're definitely coming to you.
I see.
2 of the cops that have been fired they're black, so there's that element of it. The other 4, I don't know. I have one more clip about the police and what have happened to them. You just want to play the next clip, so you hear a little bit more about the breaking news that happened
shows
today.
Officer Mark Gardner responding with his taser.
It was a vicious act. The tasing, it went on for some time while she was shaking and screaming.
Seconds later, the driver, Messiah Young, gets the same treatment through a broken car window. He's later thrown to the asphalt, breaking his wrist and opening a gash requiring 21 stitches, according to Fulton DA Paul Howard.
And no firearm was ever located in the vehicle.
Howard says his office is charging 4 police officers, Lonnie Hood, Willie Sauls, Ivory Streeter, and Mark Gardner, with felony aggravated assault and other charges. Officers Armand Jones and Roland Cloud face lesser charges in the same incident.
I feel a little safer now that these monsters are off of the street.
Yeah, he broke his, I don't know if you saw in the interview, maybe they didn't have a wide enough shot that I could grab, but his arm's broken.
That's
crazy. He had
20
something stitches.
Yeah, that's crazy. Oh, let's get to the next.
Somebody was bringing up that Disney bought Fox and Time Warner owns CNN, so they're owned by different companies.
Okay.
This is like Reginald Denny. You remember that? Riots? Have you seen this video?
Yeah, this is hard to watch.
I don't know what
because
happened.
I mean,
I don't know what happened before.
I know that's the thing, but like, what option does this truck driver have? Because for a second there, it looked like he might be able to just go faster, but there are people in front of him. He could have run over somebody. There's people all over the truck that would fall off once he reached a certain speed.
If it's me, I don't want to run anybody off, but that person on the back of my truck, you got on my truck.
Just that person?
All of them. If you're on my truck,
that's my point, yeah.
I would, the harder thing is to not run over people in the street. You can't do that, right? But if somebody climbs up, I mean, you know, it's like Speed 2. People jump up on the truck and are walking and having a fist fight on the back of my tanker, and I accelerate to a normal driving speed, and you fall off. Like, that is their liability. Like, I don't have any respect for that, but you can't.
Like his life is in danger right now, and so he's having this moral dilemma of like, do I save myself and potentially kill someone else, or do I allow myself to potentially be killed?
I think he makes the wrong decision. I don't know, why does he open the door? And what did he do that people, I mean, he's obviously a white guy. Is he in Trump red? Is that a thing? Can you wear a red shirt and be a Trump supporter?
I don't know.
It's just horrifying. Like, what is the point of this? I want to know more of this story. I want to know why did this happen here? What was going on before the video starts?
Yeah, I mean, I could see them blocking the highway, and the truck driver's like, "You're not blocking me," so he starts pushing people out of the way, and that pisses people off, and then it just, one thing leads to the next, you know?
You're outside the White House where Donald Trump is about to speak. It's getting a bit tense.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. We've just had to run about a block as police moved in. We've been fired at with rubber bullets. My cameraman has been hit. We've also seen tear gas being used. Here we go. They're moving through again. This is exactly what it looks like. Exactly what it looks like. We're just staying safely.
Oh.
Whoa. Oh.
Amelia, can you hear us?
Amelia, are you okay? Or your cameraman? Hello, Amelia. The police just charged Amelia and our 7 News cameraman there, and looks like a policeman just punched our cameraman.
Which is interesting because they're not discriminating between protesters and the media here. Amelia, can you hear us yet?
Amelia, are you there?
You heard us.
Are you okay?
Yes, I am. I am. You heard us yelling there that we were media, but they don't care. They are being indiscriminate at the moment.
Crazy.
People are saying that that truck driver got off on a ramp that was not blocked that led to a protest. And some people are like, he tried to run over protesters. And then other people are saying that to stop an 18-wheeler, I mean, I guess you're going on an off-ramp, but maybe it's an off-ramp that's got, you know, a slope to it. It takes a long time to stop one of those cars.
Sure.
So maybe, I'll look it up out of my own curiosity tonight, but maybe people had to run out of the way while this car blazed through, and they felt like that was him trying to kill them. But they are saying that the road was not blocked by the police. My argument is like, you know, maybe your argument is too, like, just don't protest in the middle of highways. That's where cars are. That's where people have to get to work, you know?
I know. I mean, there's a lot of problems with the protests going on. I feel like blocking the highway is such a small problem at the moment, but that used to be the thing that would make me most angry with protests. I'm like, why are you stopping innocent people? But now they're like murdering innocent people and destroying property and setting buildings on fire.
They're beating up people who are in trucks that are supplying them goods and the gas they need, and he can't slow down and stop. I don't know enough of the story, but I'm just like, but I do know this story. This is a video I've been meaning to play for a long time.
Well, this video you titled, Why Patrick is Smart. And looking at it here, let's just go full screen so everyone can see why you're so smart.
This was the test that they did on the face shields.
Okay. This doesn't look very scientific. It looks like a bed sheet in the background.
Yeah, they
and an anonymous mask on the right.
They need a gravity backdrop that's got the painted stuff on there, and they need...
Let's watch. This is a 4-second clip. Is this it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I played it at like quarter speed, though, so you can really see how much the mask deflects everything downwards.
Dude, if that is your proof of how smart you are really dumb, because that smoke is going everywhere. You're telling me the smoke's not going up his face? You're telling me that if the dude with the mask right there sniffed, he wouldn't smell smoke? Is that what you're telling me?
I mean, he is leaned back a little bit more. It would be advised to bring the mask down a little bit.
Oh
in
my
researching
gosh.
this video, they actually make masks now that have a little extra length so that it goes to your chest.
I don't understand that. I understand wanting to protect your entire nose and mouth and eyes. I get that. But why the face shield? Just create a mask with a seal, like your dad and the snorkel mask.
Well, it fogs up. It makes it harder to breathe, and
yeah,
they don't make a mask like that. And it needs to be fitted to be perfectly like what you're saying. This is just that if I were to sneeze at you, and you have just the mask on.
Dude, in the history of the world, no one in public has ever sneezed on my face.
I threw up in your face once. I straight up threw up into your face once.
That's true. Well, if I ever go deep sea fishing with you, I will wear the face shield. Other than that, I'm not wearing that.
People probably think it happened with Captain Craig, but that would have made it a better story if it had.
Dude, what is this video?
Did you?
No, I haven't seen this either.
Okay, well, we'll just mix it up a little bit.
This morning, you know her as the unofficial villain from Netflix Tiger King? Well, now Carol Baskin is the owner of Joe Exotic's infamous animal park. That's right, she's the owner now. An Oklahoma judge ruling in favor of Baskin's corporation lawsuit, giving her control of the 16-acre farm and all those big cats. No appeal is expected to be filed. Joe Exotic remains in prison for his attempt to hire a hitman to kill Baskin. You know, we've talked about this, Don. I couldn't get through the first episode. I don't get the fascination, but apparently I'm in the minority on that one.
Yes, you are, madam.
So Joe Exotic he's been tweeting too. He's been pissed.
Dude, I mean, that is the most offensive thing that could happen to Joe Exotic ever. His arch enemy
owns
who
all
should be
work.
dead if that damn hitman had done his job.
Yeah.
She takes over the whole business. Damn. Carol Baskins is winning.
So this is tonight in LA.
Great.
My God.
This is the Hollywood, the Walk of the Stars, what do they call it? Hollywood Walk of Fame.
This is on Hollywood Boulevard.
literally the National Guard. Oh my fucking God, this is not... I'm just driving down Hollywood Boulevard, everyone.
So, maybe people out there can clarify this. What does the National Guard do that the local police can't do? Is it more officers? I mean, we see so many officers in LA and they're not arresting anybody. They're watching everything happen. Are they not doing anything because there's not enough of them? Or are they not doing it because they know it's going to escalate the situation? What happens when the National Guard comes? Do they not use the rubber bullets and they use real bullets? Are they there just to supplement the police and have enough now to where, like, we're not playing around? It just seems like if protesters have an upper hand on a lot of the police and the police aren't doing anything, what will the National Guard do? Can the National Guard be shamed in some ways like the police are?
It could just be more boots on the ground, you know?
But how many more boots on the ground do you need? I don't know how big our National Guard is. How big of a prevalence is it? I mean, are they doubling the police force in these cities? I was watching a documentary, like a short documentary, Potato Jet, he made, and it's just insane. Like, he's out there running around and watching cop cars set on fire, and I mean, it just puts it in like a more personal perspective. It's like one of us going out there and you're looking at it, and I'm like, the cops aren't really doing a whole lot. Sometimes they are. Sometimes they're getting in fights and you see awful police brutality. But other times we're seeing police, like we had that video where the guy's like chipping away at the bricks and the protesters grab them and like throw them into the police that's like right there. They were willing to do nothing. Will the National Guard come in and let's say it doubles the police prevalence? Are they going to now do something? Like, I don't know what it is. Like, normally under normal circumstances, I think people see the National Guard and they respect them enough to not do anything. These protests, it does not feel like anyone's going to respect the National Guard any more than they're respecting the police officers.
Not sure. Logan says there's a longer video showing the truck going into the crowd. He was braking, skidding, and blowing his horn. He was trying to stop. It just takes a really long time when they're hauling liquids.
Did he hit anybody?
Don't know about that.
They just all ran out of the way?
Jesse says, social media makes me sad these days. Thanks for having a nuanced discussion that I can listen to for the past 3 months. You are welcome. How much longer are we going to keep doing this?
People are saying that the National Guard was the only reason that the Minneapolis people calmed down. But I imagine Minneapolis, I don't know the demographics there, like how many people there are there. LA is like a whole other thing. New York is a whole other city, you know? These are the biggest cities in America.
Yeah. Well, we've got a little funny break here.
They couldn't find any smaller gear for you? You barely fit in that.
It's like if they had to outfit me in Riot gear. And it's like my knee pads come up past my knees. And
that person is really small. Is that a woman? Very, very small. Okay, so this clip I saw and I was like, I don't know if I want to show this because I don't really, there's not that much information.
I was the same way, and I was like, let me throw it in there, but
then...
Do you know what happened? Is there a backstory?
No, I don't, but this whole video, I'm like, man, I wish I'd gotten that cops pulling the bricks out of their truck video, so here we go.
Bricks? What the fuck are those?
Those look like bricks. Look, yeah, those are fucking bricks. What the fuck? They're collecting all of those bricks so that the protesters don't fucking use them, dude. That's what they're doing. Or they're doing that for undercover police officers that are getting involved in the protests so that they have an excuse to beat the shit out of people. So...
He seems to know about the umbrella guy. That's for the undercover police officers to cause chaos and wreak havoc.
I mean, it certainly seems fishy, but it's easy to jump to conclusions. Like, you really don't know what you're looking at there. But that
is something strange going through all of these videos, is that with coronavirus, you know when they're talking about coronavirus what they're talking about. But when you see some of these clips, like the one last night where the guy was arrested as an FBI agent, that clip was a year old. I still put it in there just to show what like racial profiling could look like. But I don't believe he was an FBI agent either. But once these videos get put into social media and titled a certain way, you can make this narrative whatever you want, you know?
Yeah.
I had the police brutality video of the guy trying to like they were making him grab the stick.
Yeah.
I don't know when that was. Like there's so many police brutality videos, but that one went really viral today.
Well, this next clip is incredibly violent, so look away. This is a police officer being hit by a car. And, you know, it just gives you something to think about with that couple that, you know, that was tasered. When you know, the cops try to open the door and then the car drives away, from the cops' perspective, they just don't know if that guy's capable of doing something like this person. It's horrifying.
There we go. Well, these are cops pulling up right on the bottom of the screen.
Oh! That's the cop! Oh,
So,
ambulance shows up. I hear he's in critical but stable condition.
Crazy.
That was also in the Bronx.
Here's some footage of looters in California.
In California, the site of some of the worst looting in America. We saw it firsthand in Santa Monica.
This is a sushi store here. You can see the chairs were thrown around, even the computers ripped off. And here we have a jewelry store. So across the street, we've got the Patagonia. What you're seeing is people of all ages, all backgrounds, helping themselves, using Black Lives Matter as the reason. It is throughout Santa Monica. So wait, guys, why are you doing this? Are you part of Black Lives Matter? Or are you just surfers? What's the deal, guys?
Eventually, police moved in. Santa Monica officials say there were 400 arrests and claim 95% were outsiders. Police Chief Cynthia Renaud says the looters took advantage of the peaceful protesters.
There are opportunists.
The National Guard helped control the crowds. There was also common ground.
He's not wearing the mask correctly.
What do they call it? Nose droop syndrome, mask droopy syndrome, something like that?
We've been, you know, we text a lot with Mike Kelly every day. He sends us stuff. I wonder if he regrets going back to L.A. Like he was about to be open and allowed to go out in South Carolina, wherever he was, Hilton Head. And now he's flown back to L.A. only to now tell me that he's like totally locked in from all sides because there's curfew. I mean, the curfews now are.
I thought Mike's been working. I thought he's been shooting homes and stuff.
Well, he has been the last couple weeks, but I don't know what he's doing right now. I mean, if there's a curfew, there's a curfew. But the curfew's here. I haven't left here at like 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. So I don't know if we were to just drive out, if police would be right on you, or if it's like, yeah, we're really not going to do a whole lot. In LA, it seems like there's a curfew, but people are still going to be out. They can't keep everyone inside.
Let's see. Cops spit on cuffed man. I have not seen this one. We'll go full screen.
What? Yep, got that.
That's crazy.
We got that on camera, asshole!
Got it.
Asshole! Hey!
Hey, we see you.
Oh my god.
Don't worry, I got that one. Yep, still doing it.
I mean, what in the hell is wrong with these guys? They're gonna do it and then people are like, I see you, I'm filming you, and they do it more?
It reminds me of the clip we had like in the first week or two of this whole coronavirus series where the guy like coughs and licks his hand and then wipes the pole. You know,
that's different than spitting on someone's back, though.
Yeah, I mean, they are different, but I think what's common about them is just the ability for them to sink it to such a low, you know?
Yeah.
Like maybe the guy in the subway killed multiple people by giving them all coronavirus. This cop didn't kill anybody, but like it's uncalled for.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So hopefully that guy gets fired immediately. How cops are talking over the air. Haven't seen this.
So we have a group of people blocking traffic on Albany and Dean Street. They're refusing to let the orange go eastbound on Dean Street and Albany. So we're stuck here. Run them over. Shoot those motherfuckers. Don't put that over yet.
Save it when we're not on the air. Yeah, now you're caught.
You're on the air multiple times now.
Yep.
Do you think we could be like, tomorrow, let's ignore all the riot stuff and let's only find coronavirus stories?
It could be an interesting goal to have.
Everyone will be like, did you hear? And we're like, we kind of heard, but we're sticking to...
I mean, if we see wild videos, we could save them for the next day. But we could just try to have, it'll be the shortest video ever. And we'll play a clip that'll be like, in America, tensions flare. But are these Americans social distancing? And we'll just play like 10 videos like that.
New Zealand hasn't had a new case in over 2 weeks.
How cops can and should act.
This is a positive video.
Pastor Hawkins here. I'm just going to tell you, we want to be with y'all for real. So I took my helmet off and laid the batons down. Yeah. I want to make this a parade, not a protest. You got little ones here, you got dogs, so what's up? So listen, I'm just telling you, these cops love you. That cop over there hugs people, so you tell us what you need to do. Let's walk.
Yeah, it would be nice if it could all be like that. And I mean, I think that the vast majority of police would want to do that.
Especially in smaller communities. Like, I don't know where this is, but this feels more like a homegrown community, and it's small and local, and everyone kind of knows each other, and you recognize the faces and stuff. Where some of these big cities, I mean, even Charleston, there's like 500,000 people there. You know, it's very easy to not know anybody anymore. You know, I remember when Charleston, just 10 or 15 years ago, you could go, I did it. You go out every night for a month, go out drinking every night for a month, and you will meet everyone. You'll know every door guy, you'll know all the politicians, you'll know all the college kids, you'll run into everybody. And then, you know, it's like a cool community. And then Charleston just ballooned up to the point where, like, now it's insanity. There's a line out every bar, and like, it's just so many people. It's just what's happened to a small town. But when I see videos like this, I'm like, this is probably what it's like back in where the town that I grew up in, you know? Too bad they can't all get the same coverage. This is a funny video.
Encore, s'il te plaît, encore.
Another video that went viral today that is from a year ago. I don't even think that's in the United States, but...
So,
Flint, Michigan, okay. That's where the nice sheriff was. I mean, Flint, Michigan's been through a lot already. Yeah, they have. They're still going through a lot.
You know my boy Dave Ramsey.
Oh, yeah. You got lots of boys. Makes me
in
wonder,
your mind, yeah.
Wonder a little bit.
He's always an optimist, and he's like, you know, we're coming out of the lockdown, and business is booming, and all this stuff, but people don't want to work because they get paid more to be on unemployment. So they talk about this for a little bit.
In history. And so guess what? The unemployed have no incentive to go back to work.
That's exactly right.
The furloughed have no incentive to go back to work. I mentioned this before. I was with a friend of mine this weekend that owns a restaurant, and he's having trouble staffing. He's reopened, but the people that used to work for him now make more sitting on their butts with unemployment plus $600 a week from the government. Until that runs out, he's going to have trouble getting back. And guess what? That's going to make it look like the unemployment is worse than it is. That's right. Because there's jobs available, and some of these people don't want to go back to work.
So what he's saying right there is he thinks, you know, I'm kind of playing the pessimist these last few months. I think unemployment is worse than the numbers show, and they're already record-setting.
Because people don't know that they're unemployed?
That, yeah, and people are trying to get through to unemployment, and they can't even get anyone to pick up the phone.
Sisters was on the phone 4 hours today. They said call back on Friday.
Oh my gosh.
Has not gotten it resolved. Has not gotten a paycheck in like 3 weeks now, a month.
That's crazy. So he's kind of playing the positive person here and saying that like unemployment's really not that bad, or it doesn't need to be that bad.
There's job opportunities.
Yeah.
Well, you're looking at July 25th, folks. That is going to run out. And so you're really hedging your bets here that you've told your employer, you know what, I make more money staying at home than I do working, and they may replace you. And I wouldn't be surprised if they don't. And what's interesting, I saw some data yesterday.
You know, I wish they would.
I would too, because I don't like it. I don't like it at all. When you're offered work, there is, and I get the math. But this isn't math. This is about
dignity.
Dignity, the human spirit. All of us long to work.
I'm not on welfare if I don't need to be.
No, that's exactly right. Those funds should be going to other people that might be in a much different situation.
Or not running up the federal debt, either one.
Well, I'm with you there. I don't think, listen.
Yeah, this is from Forbes. An unintended, unexpected consequence of the multi-trillion-dollar stimulus package is that workers are asking to be laid off.
Yeah.
Or reluctant, asking to be laid off.
Right. Well, look at the minimum wage, $15 an hour.
Or reluctant to go back to work after being furloughed. In an effort to help people financially cope with their job losses in the midst of the pandemic, the federal government, which can screw up Christmas, is providing an extra $600 a week in unemployment benefits, and this amounts to this amount is.
You get the idea. I mean,
here's the part of this puzzle that I don't think is totally true, though, and that is if you've gotten stimulus money, PPP money, to keep your business afloat during the coronavirus, you have to rehire them back, and if they take unemployment, which is their right to do. They should, you've paid into it. And then your employer says, we have the job ready for you, and we offer the job. They should and will lose all unemployment because that employer now has to report for his PPP and just to the unemployment office. I think they contact the prior employer every week or every couple of weeks to see if there's a chance that they could be employed. Those people will lose their unemployment. So it makes me wonder, are people feeling like I'm getting unemployment and then it will be taken away from them because they found out that they lied, or it'll be a swift like, oh my gosh, I didn't get approved for my unemployment because I told my previous employer to go screw himself. I'm not coming back to work. It feels like there's these deadlines. They just mentioned July 25th, I think. The end of July is when the $600 a month federal unemployment bonus ends, unless they pass a bill. I was talking again in our group here in Puerto Rico about some of the loans that were given to corporations require that they keep people furloughed up until September 30th. And come October 1st.
Not furloughed, employed.
Employed, but many of them, if you're the airlines, you can't have them work because you're just not flying enough routes. So They are furloughed. There's that report, I pulled it up again today, that United Airlines is planning to potentially fire a lot of people on October 1st. Because that's the day after the last commitment of them for these loans. So I feel like we're sitting on this bubble time bomb where people think that they're going to get unemployment, and they think that they could tell their employers, I'm not going back to work. They're going to have that money taken away from them if their employer reports them. And then you have other people that just have a job long enough that it works out for the corporations for these loans that they've been given. And now we have stores that are being destroyed that employees won't be able to go back to work.
I think, though, and we've talked about this a lot, but I think that there are these other laws or policies that are currently in place that say You don't have to go back to work if you have been in contact with someone who is sick, if you are taking care of a sick relative, if you're having trouble finding childcare.
Yeah.
There's basically all of these ways that you can pretend to continue to need unemployment. So I'm not sure if it's as simple as what you're saying.
There's so much that's going to come out of this, though. It's going to be like, hey, we have video of you in protests. We have video of you in protests in other states. Like, you left. You we saw video of you.
Well, I was protesting, and that's where I think I may have gotten COVID-19.
But you were protesting on a day that you should have been at work.
I know, but I didn't want to infect my colleagues. iComplainer says, just keep the show going till the end of humanity soon and rename it F-Stoppers Apocalypse Chronicles Live. It does feel like that at times. Here's some really helpful suggestions from maybe Inside Edition on how to protest but stay safe from the virus.
Okay.
Now,
they're not saying to stay at home and not protest?
No.
They're
You
encouraging
have to
you gotta go
continue to
out.
protest. I think face shield is one of these.
Yeah. That part's not that funny.
Let's watch.
Very worried about any resurgence that might come from these protests. I absolutely am.
There are other ways you can reduce the risk. Use noisemakers, drums, and signs so you don't have to yell and spread droplets. Or you can honk your car horn. Wear eye protection. Carry hand sanitizer.
All right, so what did you learn, Patrick?
I didn't find that clip was that funny. You seem to be a little more amused. You like the horn
It's
honking?
just so stupid. Like, use signs so you don't have to yell. Get a drum or a noisemaker. Honk your horn. I mean, first of all, if somebody is honking, I think that they're pissed at me for being in the middle of the road and they want me to move. I don't think like, oh, they're on board with me.
Have you been to these countries where, I'm trying to remember where this happens. Maybe in Mexico? I don't know. We've been to so many places I can't put my finger on it. But they honk their horn just to like let you know that they're there. And it becomes like obnoxious.
Oh,
like,
I hate it.
Oh my gosh. It's like beep, 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 beep.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is insanity. I keep thinking, they did this a lot, I think in Cambodia. They would just constantly honk at you and then pass you. And I'm like, just put your blinker on and pass. Remember when they were supposed to ban honking from New York City? It was like 5 or 6 years ago, maybe 10 years ago now. They were like, no more honking in the city.
Yeah.
It didn't last too long.
Well, I mean, all over New York City, there's signs and stuff, and you'll get tickets if you're honking in Manhattan. I think it's a good thing. Here's a pretty, this clip seemed to be pretty viral today on Twitter. This is the most I've ever used Twitter. You recently taught me how to search for things with a keyword and then look at videos.
I feel like a son to a dad. Showed you how to use one of the largest social media platforms.
Yeah. So this is fairly disturbing. It's a big crowd. Maybe the crowd starts getting a little rowdy in the bottom section if you try to keep an eye on it. And the cops start retaliating.
This is what city?
I don't know.
Definitely disperses them. Like oil going into water.
Yeah, when you shoot bombs at people, they do tend to run away.
Wonder how dangerous are these flashbangs? Because we've seen so many fireworks. I mean, I was talking about the video I saw in Charleston where they go up to Oku and they throw in one of those.
Yeah, what, do you not have a clip of that?
I didn't get it, but
Come on, Patrick.
I mean, it was like a 40-minute long Periscope, and I'd have to find it. But they go into the sushi restaurant, really high upscale sushi restaurant in Charleston. There's people in there dining and eating. I don't know kind of what they were thinking, because it seems like you knew the protests were heading to Upper King. And they open the door and they just light and throw one of those like mortar rounds, and it's just like in the restaurant. We saw them do that at CNN, where they're throwing that stuff.
So
oh, look
wild.
who we have here. Should I put them on a...
Who is it? This is great for TV, Patrick.
This is great for TV. You can go to my Apple. Yo, what's up?
You're not going to be able...
Oh no, we can't hear him, but he's live on our show. We were just talking about you, and I don't know how to have a conversation with you because I won't be able to hear you, but are you alive and well in LA?
Oh, yeah, we don't even have audio turned on, so stop,
oh, no.
Stop this.
All right, well, we got to go. We're live.
You have ruined the show, Patrick.
I thought our system, what have you been doing with... You even come up with a way to pipe the audio from Apple TV? That's your next task tomorrow.
You know what? It would be nice if you did 1% of this. If you could just figure out that 1% of the system.
I got rid of the hum out of the audio today. I did the ground lift.
Yes, when I have one that's far simpler coming tomorrow. So here is a clip of rioters throwing rocks through apartment windows of people who are like cheering them on. This is so ridiculous.
Through, like these are rich people that have like rock gardens in their homes and they're throwing them out.
No. Just watch.
Like, dude, we're just playing flip cup, bro. We're on your side.
Yeah, so people are throwing rocks through windows for absolutely no reasons at all, unless they wanted to loot the flip cups. Yesterday, there was a lot on CNN about Trump wanting to do these photo ops in front of the church holding a Bible and stuff. Did you see all this?
Yeah.
It was weird. I agree, it was weird. And there was all of this story that like Trump told the cops to mace everyone so that he could safely take a picture holding a Bible in front of a church. That's not the whole story. So if you're interested, here's a little bit more to that story.
One day after law enforcement used flashbangs and rubber bullets on protesters to pave the way for President Trump to make this walk to St. John's Church, the president was back at another place of prayer, St. John Paul II's National Shrine. But this moment of remembrance was quickly followed by a scathing statement from the Archbishop of Washington, who said, "I find it baffling and reprehensible that any Catholic facility would allow itself to be so egregiously misused and manipulated." And today, outside St. John's Church,
we call upon the president, sir, to repent. To repent.
But counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway, says President Trump has nothing to repent for.
Why the president felt compelled to walk there, why he held that Bible up, that is a symbol to everyone that we will not allow arsonists and anarchists who set that fire ablaze.
According to a senior official at the Justice Department, the decision to widen the perimeter around the White House was made early Monday morning. But when Attorney General Bill Barr arrived in Lafayette Square Monday afternoon, the plan had not yet been executed. The official claims a protester threw a water bottle at the Attorney General, and that's when Bill Barr gave the order to push protesters back before President Trump walked out.
The police did not respond other than to move the protesters back. I thought what the president did in visiting the church was not only appropriate, it was needed.
But Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer calls it unconstitutional, an abuse of presidential power, and possibly illegal.
The President of the United States ordered troops to attack peaceful American citizens exercising their constitutional rights by tear gassing them in a public park while military helicopters flew overhead.
President Trump is now warning scenes like this. A military helicopter hovering over protesters could soon extend to other hotspots unless governors and mayors regain control. Already, active duty troops have been flown into the D.C. area, but have yet to be deployed.
If a city or state refuses to take the actions that are necessary to defend the life and property
of their residents, then I will deploy the United States military and quickly solve the problem for them.
What do you think is happening? Like, if he just doesn't do anything and the riots continue, do you feel like he will get reelected? If he brings the military in and it stabilizes everything with like military force, is he going to win the election? Is this his like going out like, maybe I have no chance of, like, I don't know if he has a chance or not. I could go on any given day, I can go one way or another, but is this like, I know I'm only in power for another 5 or 6, I guess he's until January, so like another 6 months. Is this him just being like, I'm going to do all the craziest stuff I can think of? Or is there an actual strategy going on?
I don't feel like it's that crazy to deploy the military if it is needed. Now, maybe you could make the argument that there's plenty of police and maybe there's plenty of National Guard and they're just allowing it to happen. And if that's the case, then sure, the military is not needed. But you cannot let people have the run of cities and destroy stuff day after day after day. Like, that's ridiculous. So I would completely agree with anything, maybe not anything, but allowing more officials to come in and stop that. I'm not saying stop the protests. I'm saying stop the violence and stop the looting. It's ridiculous.
I don't know, man. I'm just like, I feel so depressed. Like, this isn't going to end. I feel like this, like I've said before, this is like 30% Black Lives Matters. The other 60% is other stuff. And I feel like a big chunk of that is anti-Trump stuff. Yeah. And I just feel like that part of the equation, and the other 30% is the coronavirus and people out of jobs. I don't think any three of these are going to go away. I don't think Black Lives Matter movement is going to suddenly be like fixed. I don't think our economy and the coronavirus and jobs are just going to be gone, and the virus will be gone and jobs are back. And then there's Trump that's having a re-election. Like, all three elements, in my opinion, that make up all of this are here until November. And I just feel like we are about to see the ugliest moment in American history. Like, maybe you could say Vietnam is the ugliest moment. Maybe you could say like us having to go into World War II is the ugliest moment. Maybe you could say like our Civil War is the ugliest moment. But this is very close to being there. Like, we've surpassed, in my opinion, 9/11. Like, this year has been worse in every level from all of these things. And I just feel like this isn't going away anytime soon. I want to be so done with this show. I want to get back to doing normal things. I'm tired of looking up these clips. I'm tired of having to give our little commentary on this. I think this is just going to keep going, man. And I'm getting a little frustrated with it.
I don't know. I am not going to say that these riots are worse than 9/11. I don't think that's true at all. The footage of 9/11 is the most insane footage I have ever seen in my life. I mean, watching those buildings collapse in the middle of Manhattan is insane. People breaking windows and stealing surfboards is stupid, but that is not the same as the Twin Towers coming
I'm just
down.
saying, though, with the coronavirus, we've lost 100,000. What did we lose in 9/11? 3,000 people? And there's a different intention. I understand it's like terrorism and it's doing harm to people where the virus is just a biological thing that's happening. But I don't know. I don't put it past us. Like, I'm still waiting. I don't want to see it, but I'm waiting to see somebody come in and shoot a bunch of people. I'm waiting to see a bomb go off.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'm waiting to see the president try to be assassinated. I'm waiting to see these like worse and worse things coming, because I feel like we're going to get numb to what we're seeing now. You know? 5 days ago, I never would have thought all these riots would have been all over the entire country.
And it's kind of spreading to other countries as well. I saw them there in France.
Are they violent?
Yeah.
They are violent?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
RM said on fstoppers.com, general question section, I sent a message to share an idea, but I did not get a response. Just wondering if you got the messages. I didn't see it. We have somebody who reads all of that and then like ships out all the emails to all the different people who they're to. I didn't see that. Did you see it?
Mm-mm.
You can send me a private message on F-Stoppers and I'll see it. Darren Hong says it'll be the same under a Democratic president except you can't have guns. Yeah, maybe. Obviously, they want more gun control.
Anti-gun people, how do they feel when they say no one should have guns? I've even heard some people say, like, no one should have guns except police and the military. If you don't like Trump, how would you feel right now if none of us could have guns? Because our crazy gun friends are like, it's for self-defense to some degree, but it's for tyrannical government. It's us against them. And I feel like this is the closest in our lifetime we've seen this.
Well, and a lot of the anti-gun people are also anti-police people. So they have to be having this moral conundrum right now where it's like, only police should have guns, but I don't trust the police, and police are evil.
Well, maybe they would say police shouldn't have guns either. I mean, our military has to have guns, but we're at a point now where our military is being sent. I mean, all it takes is for the military to start firing on people. What if Trump said, fire on people? I mean, he kind of has, in some way. When the looting begins, the shooting begins or something?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't... When Trump said that, I understand why people could be offended by that. I don't think he meant, I'm going to shoot you if you start looting. I think he's just was saying kind of like what I've been saying the last few days. People are going to die. This is going to keep escalating and escalating. It's not worth it. This isn't the point of this. Stop breaking stuff. Stop beating up innocent people. Stop looting, or else people are going to die. And they are dying.
I just think we're going to have a Kent State situation where the National Guard and the military start shooting some people. And the second that that's on the news, and every news station is talking in a sober mode, where they're like, "Look, this is taking a turn." People are now going to start taking guns out, and I feel like maybe that's the correct response. I mean, imagine if we didn't have guns in our military and our police force was able to shoot on us, and there's no accountability there. I mean, that's kind of the gun argument, you know. I don't know. I don't know what to make of any of this. I get more upset the more I think about it.
Well, let's end on a positive note, shall we?
Here's why the employment numbers are about to get even worse. First, you've got thousands of small businesses around the country still employing people, but they're running out of money. So by the end of the summer, you could see a wave of bankruptcies and an entirely new wave of unemployment that comes onto the system. Second, you've got state governments that are having massive hits to their revenue. They're going to have to raise taxes and start laying off workers in the face of the downturn. So that could be a whole second or even third wave of unemployment that comes along in the very near future. This is the fundamental question the country's been debating.
So that's kind of what I've been worried about this whole time. A lot of people just think, oh, the pandemic's over now. The riots, they're wrapping up, and soon we're just going to go back to work and eating at restaurants and going to Disney World. Maybe it'll be a couple weeks, but everything's going to go back. Look at the stock market. It's totally almost recovered by now. This guy is saying no, it's a much slower process, and one domino leads to the next, and things get worse and worse.
It's kind of like a catch-22, right? Like if we have to raise taxes, but we're firing people and everyone's out of work, who are we taxing? We're going to have to raise the tax on the uber rich people. And then what happens? They start saying, screw staying in America. We're going to move our business to another country. Like somebody was telling me you got to start investing in Vietnam. Like there's a way to invest in Vietnam through like a ETF. It's like all of these people, I guess the earpods now are going to be built in Vietnam and not in China. AirPods. All these people are moving their businesses. But you raise the taxes enough over a certain threshold, big U.S. companies or companies based in the United States are going to say, we're leaving too. And it just keeps snowballing.
Yeah.
Is this stagflation or one of these where it's like things just keep getting more and more separated? It's not like just inflation or deflation, but you have multiple things happening at one time that just kind of feed into the other.
Yeah, exactly. And we've got some friends in this neighborhood who seem to think like us as well, making huge bets that the stock market is about to collapse.
And I'm scared. I mean, I don't have that much money in the market. I have enough to like be dangerous with. But I keep thinking, where do you put your money? I keep wanting, I sold Bitcoin. I think I told you guys, I sold Bitcoin last night, all of it. Tanked, like it dropped significantly. Like, well, not that significantly for Bitcoin, but you know, it went from 10,000 to like 9,200, something like that. So good move there. I'll have to see where it is right now. But then it's like, do you stay in cash? What if the dollar deflates? If deflation happens, I think that's good. That means your dollar actually goes up. But if you have inflation, your dollar becomes worth less. Do you throw it in gold and maybe gold takes off? Do you buy equities? Do you want to own stocks? Do you want to own Apple when Apple says, you know what? Apple's not a good example. Who's like a good American company? Like Tesla. Tesla's like, you know what? You all are taxing us way too heavily. Where there's no way I can make these cars for a profit. I'm going to move all of my production overseas. Do you want to own Tesla stock when that happens? Is that good or bad? Like, there's just too many moves that I'm not smart enough to know how to make.
Yeah.
But the worst thing would be to have a situation where you just have dollars under your bed, you've hoarded money, cash, and then all of a sudden your cash is worth 25% of what it was worth before.
Yeah, that would suck. It's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I just don't know what to do. Real estate, like...
Not sure. Well, this guy continues talking here, continues to talk, and he makes a very interesting point about, you know, the debate was always like, do we lock down to save lives or do we stay open to save the economy and maybe save lives in the long run or whatever?
Yeah.
And he makes a really interesting point here.
Should we save lives or should we save the economy?
First order of business is save lives, period, whatever it costs.
Of course everybody wants to save every life they can, but the question is, towards what end ultimately?
It's a false trade-off. Saving lives is how you save jobs. By that I mean in the economies around the world that have come back the fastest and where the hit was the smallest, they have all taken the approach of stop the spread of the virus. Save the lives, and if you stop the spread of the virus, then people will not be afraid and the economy can come back. So it offers you the best choice of all, which is let's save lives and jobs.
Thought that was kind of interesting.
Why is he saying you would save jobs just because there's proof that the jobs have come back in other countries? Is that his argument?
Yeah, I think he was saying that the economy in Germany only had like 5 point something unemployment when we're at, what, 20% unemployment, something absolutely insane.
But there's also this domino effect where, like, maybe Germany, all these countries, we've only dealt with this for 2 or 3 months, right? If we get to 5, 6, 7 months, take the Airbnb people, you know, you own a couple of homes on leverage, you put down the minimum payment for your mortgage, you might be able to get by for a few months. But then if it's 6 months, 7 months, and you're still locked down because we're scared of going out, I mean, at some point, the debt cycle becomes a problem, right? And those jobs are never coming back. You've destroyed real lives.
I would think so. I would think so. Guys, we are wrapping up the show at this point, but I'm just going to push our audio up 5 decibels just as a test here for you guys to...
Are we way louder now? Are we clipping?
So let me make sure. What am I doing here?
It's always the question, Lee. What are you doing? See if there's any interesting comments.
Check, check, check. So we're hitting a little bit louder here. We should sound a little bit more compressed though. Does it sound better? Can you hear more room noise? We got like the AC on.
You know what I would like to do, just out of curiosity? You had a post on F-Stoppers like 3 months ago where you had all of these quizzes on like, how confident do you feel you will have a job? And are you worried about the virus? And how much do you have saved? And how long will it take before you have nothing? Like, it would be interesting to revisit that post today, maybe tomorrow, and see if the result, you know what's going to happen. The results are going to be so hard to decipher. But it would be interesting to see now that we're like 3 months into all of this craziness, where people stand. Because you put that post up really soon after the coronavirus was kind of announced in America. We were like a week into it.
Yeah, I also thought eventually people are saying it's worse, 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 worse. Okay, okay, relax. I'll put it back. People were saying that we should go back and watch some of our first videos because we made predictions about everything. We made predictions about how many deaths we thought there were going to be. We made predictions about where the stock market would be in June.
I mean, I know my prediction was the market will be tanked, that this is a little blip up, and it's been the opposite.
Well, I think I said something like, I think the market will be down 35% by June. I said something like that. And the market did go down 35%, but it went down 35% very quickly, and now we're starting to recover by June. So I was half right.
For the year to date, we're down 3.7% on the Dow Jones.
What?
Year to date for the S&P 500, we're down 12%. The Russell 2000, what is that? That's like the smaller businesses. Is that 2,000 small companies? They're down 3.5% for the year.
What do you mean for the year? Within the last 12 months?
No, if I go year to date. So if I look at this date, June 3rd, 2019 till today.
Okay.
It's only down 3.5%.
Right. Yeah, that's so stupid.
Amazon's up 46% year to date. Remember my little meme thing to you guys was always like, just buy Amazon.
Yeah.
Just buy Amazon. I said, just buy Adobe. If you're tired of spending money on Adobe services, just buy their stock and you will have way more money and still you'll get the service for free. Just out of curiosity, let me see what Adobe is. Adobe year to date, up 50%. So if you put $1,000 in Adobe, you would have $1,500. Would have been a pretty good return. And that's with a freaking pandemic and all this craziness. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, I feel like it's crashing. It's got to come down. And then we're all going to look at this video and be like, how stupid were you guys? You guys said it the whole time.
I know.
It just took 6 months instead of 3 months, and you did nothing, you know?
Well, I mean, I've pulled all my money out, so I've done that, but I still feel like I should be doing more like inverse bets right now. But it's scary when I've been burned. My last 3 big moves, the inverse ETF and 2 puts, are both just dying. So I don't know what to do. Anything else you have to say, Patrick? I'm going to take that as a no and start playing
Sounds like
the outro video.
After a Dick Dale concert. That's a really interesting reference that you won't get.
Subscribe, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.